It's definitely very important to have a good idea of what can be naturally achieved if you're planning to follow the natural path. And although most people instantly assume steroids are involved once they see some big muscles, a low body fat percentage, and some veins, unless someone looks like the Hulk, muscle size alone isn't really a good indicator of steroid use, as you can build a lot of muscle and get really lean naturally. Before continuing the video, I want to ask you a favor. Consider leaving a comment below. I love to know what you thought. Your opinions and suggestions are extremely valuable to me. Also, if you can, don't forget to give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. This not only helps me understand what you like to see, but also helps the video reach more people who can benefit from the content. Continuing the video, so I want to give you some statistics, 5 signs that may suggest steroids are actually involved, and it might be surprising that the number of people using steroids is much higher than most people might think. An underreported study found that 4% of high school seniors had used steroids. Another study indicated that 1,084,000 Americans, about 0.5% of the adult population, said they had used steroids at some point. And a 1989 study indicated that for competitive bodybuilders, 54% of men and 10% of women regularly use steroids. Now, since these were self-reported studies, relying on people telling the truth, and since access to steroids has only become easier over the years, these numbers have likely increased. So, by far, one of the best indicators of steroid use, besides a clear blood test, is to check if someone is free of fat, mass index, or FFM. If this is new to you, free fat mass index measures how much muscle mass someone has compared to their height. It's like body mass index, except instead of looking at the weight/height ratio, we're essentially looking at the muscle/height ratio. The formula is quite long, but fortunately, there are online calculators that will do the calculations for you, and I'll include a link below in the description to one of those. Once it's calculated, you should know that in a study involving 157 male athletes, 83 of whom were steroid users and 74 were natural researchers, it was found that the highest free fat mass index natural athletes were able to achieve was about 25. Additionally, researchers also estimated that from a sample of 20 Mr. America winners from the pre-steroid era, which was somewhere between 1939 and 1959, they all had an average free fat mass index of 25.4. So, if someone has a free fat mass index above 25.4, the fact is that they are stronger than the average pre-steroid era Mr. America winner, which may indicate some steroid use. However, there are some important things to keep in mind. One is that we now know much more about the right way to train and eat due to advances in science. Such information simply wasn't available during the pre-steroid era. Additionally, we have made great strides in the area of natural muscle-building supplements since 1959, and the sample size of non-steroid users in the study was only 74 men, which is a relatively small number. So, the number 25 is not a carved-in-stone number. It's an indicator that you can't rely on it for sure, but if someone has an excessively high free fat mass index, there's a good chance they're using steroids. The last thing to keep in mind is that just because being above 25 is an indicator of steroid use, it doesn't mean that if you have less than 25, you are 100% not using steroids, because if someone is taking a low dose, or if they don't train and eat as well, or if they just started using steroids for the first time, all of this will affect their free fat mass. With all that said, let's look at some real-life examples of people to help illustrate how your free fat mass index can be used to see if they are natural or likely using steroids. First, we have Cristiano Ronaldo. He's about 6 feet 1 or 187 centimeters tall, 191 pounds, which equates to 84 kilograms, and he has 7% body fat, which gives him a free fat mass index of 20.39. So, this is achievable naturally. Just train hard and smart, stay consistent, follow a proper nutrition plan, and get enough high-quality sleep. Next, we have the very famous bodybuilder Steve Cook. He's also about 6 feet 1 or 186 centimeters tall. He weighs 205 pounds or about 93 kilograms, and his body fat percentage is at 6%, which gives him a free fat mass index of 25.5. So, since his free fat mass index is higher than 25, his body may not be achievable for most people naturally, but it could be possible for those who are dedicated and blessed with good genetics. So he's right on the edge. Next, we have Arnold Schwarzenegger, who obviously admitted to using steroids. Hey, Arnold was about 6 feet 2 or 188 centimeters tall. He weighed 235 pounds, which equates to about 107 kilograms, and he had 5% body fat. This put his free fat mass index at 28.55. That's a state that is not achievable naturally. Last but not least, we have the 2018 Mr. Olympia winner, Shawn Rhoden. He's 1.7 em or 177 centimeters tall, 245 pounds or 111 kilograms, and for competitions he has about 4 to 5% of body fat, which gives him a free fat mass index of about 33. So, it's safe to say you won't get a body like that just by eating rice with chicken and asparagus and supplementing with some creatine. So, now that you have a good idea of how the free fat mass index works, let's move on to another sign that you've probably heard of, gynecomastia. Research has shown that 37% of steroid users have gynecomastia. For those of you who don't know, gynecomastia is a term used to describe the growth of breast tissue in men and is almost always caused by elevated levels of estrogen. According to research, when a woman's estrogen hormone is elevated, it can cause men to develop breast tissue. Everyone knows that steroids will increase testosterone, but some people don't know that when you take steroids, your body can convert some of the increased testosterone into estrogen. This is because your body has an enzyme called aromatase, and this is an enzyme that regularly converts testosterone into estrogen. So, the end result is that the more testosterone you have, the more testosterone tends to be converted into estrogen. That's why the more steroids someone takes, the greater their chances of developing gynecomastia. However, gynecomastia alone is not a super reliable indicator of steroid use for a few reasons. One is that different steroids have different levels of risk when it comes to causing gynecomastia. Specifically, enanthate and dianabol have been reported as more likely to cause gynecomastia because these steroids are more likely to aromatize. But there are steroids out there that are much less likely to cause gynecomastia as well. Additionally, many steroid users will also use an estrogen blocker like an aromatase inhibitor to prevent the conversion of testosterone into estrogen, which ultimately helps them prevent gynecomastia while still taking steroids. Another reason why gynecomastia alone is not solid evidence of steroid use is because someone may have it even if they don't. Studies on steroid use show us that steroids account for only about 10 to 25% of cases of gynecomastia. Still, if someone shows some of the other signs of steroid use along with gynecomastia, it's likely they're using steroids. So, another sign is excessively fast muscle. In addition to increasing the total amount of muscle someone can build, steroids also increase the speed at which that muscle growth occurs. To simplify, steroids make you gain more muscle faster. These powerful steroid effects that cause rapid muscle growth were demonstrated in a 10-week study where 43 men were divided among 4 different groups. The first group did not receive any steroids and did not exercise throughout the entire study period. As you might expect, at the end of the 10 weeks, they experienced no change in muscle mass. The second group also exercised, but the difference was that they received 600 milligrams of steroids every week, and with that, they gained 7 pounds of muscle. So, the third group did not receive any steroids, but followed a progressive weight training routine, which led them to gain, on average, 4 pounds of muscle, which is definitely not bad, but it's about half the muscle growth experienced by men who simply took steroids without exercising. Finally, the fourth group received 600 milligrams of steroids per week while also following a progressive weight training routine, which led to 13 pounds of muscle growth. So, they gained 3 times more muscle than the group that lifted weights and exercised as much, but simply didn't take steroids. And keep in mind that many bodybuilders take much higher dosages than 600 milligrams per week and still combine it with other steroids like trenbolone. That's why very rapid muscle gains can be a sign of steroid use. However, as always, there are some things to keep in mind. First, some people have better genetics and more ability to gain muscle naturally. Second, beginner lifters can gain muscle very quickly even without the use of steroids. It's because the further you are from your genetic potential for muscle building, the faster you can build muscle. In fact, it's estimated that people can gain about 20 to 25 pounds of lean muscle during the first year of training, as long as they are training and eating properly. And the third thing to keep in mind is that steroids increase muscle growth in a dose-dependent way. If someone takes only small amounts, they may not gain many rapid gains, especially if they don't eat and train properly. This can make you assume that someone isn't using steroids when they actually are. A sign you can use in combination with rapid muscle growth to identify steroid use is if a disproportionate amount of that muscle is built specifically around the shoulders and neck, but not so much in the legs. This can also be a sign of a leg day skipper. However, it is a fact that steroid use has more muscle-building effect on the shoulders and traps than on the legs. This is because upper body muscles contain larger amounts of androgen receptors. So, if you notice rapid muscle growth mainly in the upper body, this could be an additional indicator of steroid use. Another sign and common side effect of using steroids that you've probably heard of before is acne, which usually appears on the shoulders, chest, or back, or a combination of all three. The reason steroids can promote acne is because high levels of testosterone increase the activity of the small oil-producing glands found in the skin. This leads to the production of more sebum, which is an oily and waxy substance that can cause hardened plug to form in your hair follicles, leading to the development of acne. Of course, I should mention that not everyone who uses steroids develops acne, and it's entirely possible to have acne without using steroids. But acne can be a sign of steroid use, especially if you notice some of the other signs I've already talked about. Finally, the last sign I want to review today is again one of the most common ones you've probably heard of, roid rage, or, in general, aggressive behavior that people joke about all the time. But significantly increasing your testosterone levels with steroids can lead to more aggressive behavior effects in some people. Studies have shown that almost 60% of anabolic steroid users experience increases in irritability and aggression. Specifically, in a recent study, researchers found significant elevations in aggression and mania scores over 12 weeks while administering testosterone injections in a double-blind crossover controlled study. However, as I said, this only happens with some people. The side effect of more aggressive behavior was not uniform across all study disciplines. Keep in mind also that there are many other factors that influence examples of aggression, such as natural temperament, stress, sleep deprivation, and the current situation someone finds themselves in, and that's just naming a few. But aggressive behavior can indicate steroid use, especially if you've known someone for a long time and he or she wasn't aggressive before, but suddenly that person starts showing more aggressive behavior frequently, even if there isn't a distinct reason for their aggressiveness. So, those are the top 5 signs you can look for to know if someone is using steroids. While each sign alone isn't 100% accurate, observing multiple signs can help you identify if steroids are involved. I know you want to improve your body and gain defined muscles, right? Ready to take your workouts to a new level and achieve amazing results? Don't waste any more time. Explore now my complete course, which offers access to my exclusive muscle building and fat burning training method, from beginners to advanced, with detailed guidance on training, proper execution of exercises, risk-free load progression, and much more. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to stay updated on all the new content and continue advancing on your fitness journey. Click on the link available in the video description below to secure your spot, and let's start this transformation journey together.